Well, good morning again, More Church.
How y'all doing today?
Man, so glad that you're here hanging out with us. I think it's our fourth week
That's right.
of our marriage series,
Yes.
The Recipe of Love.
Come on. It's been an incredible series, don't you think? Okay, come on, y'all. It's been an incredible series, right?
Come on, it's been good for me.
I know for Aaron and I, we've already learned so many things as we're teaching it. God's been speaking so many things. It's been incredible.
And so we're kind of scratching something off the bucket list
That's
by
true.
having our very own cooking show.
The Kitchen of More.
The Kitchen of More as we're cooking. And so I don't know if you have went home and made some salsa
That's
or
true.
some pancakes or what else? Is that
That's
it?
all we made so far.
I'm thinking of what we're doing in future weeks. Get ready, get ready. And so today, one of my favorite things to bake is some cookies.
That's right. You know, every kid after school is hoping that their mama made some cookies that day, right? That we have cookie jars on our counters that are full of different kinds of cookies. Cookies are like a staple of what you have in your home. When you're going to sell your house, you bake cookies so that the smell, the aroma, it just radiates into your house. And so part of the recipe of love has to be chocolate chip cookies, don't you think?
Yeah, you know you'd be walking like in downtown Fort Worth and they got that cookie place and the smell like wafts out into the street and I turn into like just a zombie and
You
I'm
just
like
walk-
going in there
you just gotta get 'em.
getting some cookies. So, but there's a lot of different options if you're making cookies at home. So we've got 3 different cookie options.
That's right. You know, an easy one.
An easy one is what we would call the break and bake. Come
Come
on,
on.
make some noise for the break and bakes. So the break and bake, you just go, you spend, I don't know, what is it, $8 or $5 or whatever,
$6.99.
and you just, boom, you just open it up. We didn't think about having a microphone in hand, so
but-
you just open it up, and then you just can go ahead and start breaking them out. Now, I gotta ask you, how many of you know you'd be making these, but you eat one of the look at them, they're all like, your mouths are, I'm not gonna do it. Because Sean's here, my dude I work out was here. Sean, I haven't eaten one cookie yet, and
Not
so I've been
yet.
successful. But it's only the beginning of the first service. And so you can do the break and bake, and so you get to throw all the different things down, and those you just throw in the oven.
Yeah, you just put
They're-
them in. It's
they're-
easy. It's simple. It just makes a mess on your hands.
They're the easiest ones
That's
that
right.
you want to bake, or the break and bake. But then you have the next level.
That's
You
true.
have the next step, and these are the ones that have just a few different ingredients.
These are the ones when I was in my 20s and like we'd only been married just a little while. I felt like, oh, I made homemade cookies.
Right,
because
homemade.
I would pour the mix into the bowl, and then all you got to add is like, what do you
Well,
do?
I think the truth, though, Whitney, is because way back then they didn't bake and break had not yet been invented yet.
This is true.
So like
because 100% I would have bought these and
we would've
totally
brought
passed
those.
them off.
Okay, so what do? You put in now. You have to put in a stick of butter. You put in a stick of butter and
you
you
break
put in
the
some
egg.
eggs. It's funny that I'm letting you do all the messy stuff. Now we don't
Yeah,
have this
right, that's
melted,
right.
so these are going to look fantastic. And I know you don't put in the whole stick because, good God, that would not be a good option. So the second level, guys, our cooking show
Hey,
is.
we're doing good.
Call
I
us.
think
TV
they're gonna
Network.
call us. We're gonna-
Call
we're-
us. We're ready. The Kitchen of More. So you can invest a little bit more time.
Yeah.
In the 3 ingredient cookies.
That's true.
A little
It's
bit more time.
possible.
You got to break some eggs. It's a little bit more messy.
I think you need a blender
put in
or
a little-
what is it called? A mixer.
Well, you need a
mixer.
microwave. You got to heat the.
Yeah,
you gotta
that's
heat,
true, too.
That looks disgusting.
Wonderful.
Okay.
It looks
and so
great.
then, but the next level is the full-on grandma level cookies. Come on, where you've got to like put in all the different recipes.
This is the one you messed up in home ec?
Oh yeah, in home ec back in high school, instead of putting in like a cup of flour, I put in a cup of baking powder. And the cookies, they look
Of baking powder. They had to be very fluffy.
I was trying to holler at the girl who was on my cooking team, you know
Yeah,
what I'm
I
saying?
guess
And
so.
I was not all the way paying attention. And so you've got to put in did you already put sugar in?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
well, hey,
wait,
come on.
okay.
There's
Yeah,
more,
yeah,
there's
yeah.
more. And so you put some
Ridiculous.
sugar in. What are you doing, vanilla?
Yeah, like that? What do you do?
Yeah, okay, you put in some vanilla.
That's how my grandma would bake cookies without even needing a recipe.
Well, that's because your grandma knows what's up.
But I remember asking my mom, will you please write out a recipe card for me when I moved out of the house? And she did. And that's one of the only recipe cards I still have in my house.
Here's the baking powder.
That's all you need.
Okay, now I don't understand
Oh,
baking
you do.
soda because it's supposed to you're supposed to put it in your shoes to not smell and put it in food. I'm really
I know,
confused.
it's very...
I'm really confused.
And you
by what
cannot use, guys, you cannot use the same baking soda in your fridge that is used to keep the smell as you do to bake your food. If you do that,
What?
That's disgusting.
I literally made pancakes with Lillian yesterday.
Yeah, this is.
And it was all hard, and so I just like banged it on the counter and broke up the.
Oh,
Are you not allowed to do that?
No, because it has absorbed. No, let's talk about it. It's absorbed the smells in your fridge.
It's good for you. We got to build our immune system. I'm helping.
All that spinach that's rotted in your fridge that you didn't eat, the one we all buy and then we throw it away.
No, not we all buy. Rachel buys. I don't buy that mess. Okay, so we got bacon break. We got 3 ingredients. Oh, we got to put an egg in?
Yeah.
See, Whitney's just trying to get me messed up, but bam! What you know about those skills?
Good.
Look, I don't got a drop on my finger. Okay, and through the magic of television, we already have, she's not paying attention. My wife's back here on the cell phone. Baby, look, and through the magic of television, we have some pre-made amazing cookies. Come on, put your hands together.
But you know, the truth is, how many of you know that the homemade cookies, they taste a whole lot better than the break and bake cookies that you can make, right?
Oh, we got it.
Good job, Tim.
Say it again.
So the homemade, full of ingredients recipe, it tastes incredibly much better than the break and bake cookies that you just buy in the refrigerator section of Target, right?
Right. They're a little greasier. You taste that like lard thing in them.
The preservatives.
But grandma's like legit ones.
They're the ones you'll sit and eat 4 of, right?
But do you know why they taste better?
Because they took more time.
They took more time. And so today, as we're looking at how to have a healthy marriage, we're going to talk about the power of time.
That's right.
Get ready. Come on, put your hands together.
It's gonna be so good,
we're getting ready. They're about to move all this stuff out of the way for us. Dude, I'm supposed to bring the cookies. Sorry. Sean, you better keep watching me, bro, because these cookies be smelling good.
Good morning, more church. Listen, when I was participating in the miracle of cookies instantaneously, I was handing these in the back. Come on, guys. How many?
Wait a minute.
Stop!
Are you kidding me? It ain't going anywhere. I've been playing with this for
but
5
they're
minutes.
real.
This ain't going nowhere. Okay.
Maybe we forgot the.
No, it's on there. I see it on there, but
Hey,
it's
why
stuck.
ruin the magic of television?
Yeah.
Why is there one missing?
I threw it to Pastor Tim.
Oh.
He looked hungry up on the front row. Okay, so man, super excited about the content today as we're talking about time. The only way to have a healthy, happy, successful marriage is if you put in the time, man.
Got to.
We have to invest with each other. And so we've been talking through the recipe card of a relationship. And so just a quick recap. In every recipe card, there are instructions and ingredients.
That's true.
And so there's a lot of different instructions that we've already talked about, like preparing your heart with humility. And so as we walk in these ideas, we've all got to be humble.
That's
because
true.
inevitably somebody's going to say something that sucker punches you in the emotions a little bit. We've got to have some humility.
Yeah, for sure. And you also got to make sure that you set the appropriate temperature.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to make sure that when you come into maybe a resolution or potential resolution, that you got to come into it not too hot, not too agitated, right? Because
That's right.
because nothing good results from that. After 20 years of marriage, I know this.
Sure.
Yeah.
If I want to try to resolve something with my wife, I've got to make sure I come into it cool as a cucumber. Got to make sure.
Yeah, no, it's true.
You got it right there.
And then a part of the instructions is that we have to understand it's going to take time. That we have to spend the time.
Yeah.
Now, today we're talking about the time in our marriage, but this just means, hey, in our marriage, working on our marriage, it's going to take the rest of our lives. And so we have to be intentional to understand, hey, we got to spend the time.
Right.
Then lastly, we've learned that one of the instructions is that we have to let forgiveness marinate.
That's right.
Yes.
That, like, we've all done it wrong. Right? Like, I've screwed it up
sure.
100 times.
Yes, you have.
Yeah, we've met, okay? All right, that's a little extra, but
Yes,
okay.
you have.
And so we've all messed up a bunch of times.
Right.
And so as we're trying to look to the future, right, we believe that God's going to start to heal marriages and relationships in the series. We have to allow forgiveness to marinate. It's not just a one-time thing, but it's a continual thing.
So
It's
good.
true.
And so today we're talking about this new recipe card, this new thing to put in your pantry of your relationship, and that's being intentional with our time. And really,
Absolutely.
none of us have enough time, right? Like it feels
true.
like we're running out of time every day with work, we're busy, the schedule is tough with kids.
Man,
Oh yeah, I forgot my iPad this morning. I either had to grab the kids or the iPad. So I grabbed the kids.
You grab the kids.
Well,
Hey,
I mean, out
gotta
of the
grab
two,
those
I guess
kids.
that's definitely the better option.
No, it's
Rachel
true.
knows her priorities. That's good.
You mentioned Sean earlier, like we got to work out. We got to try to have time to actually stay healthy and in shape, and like that's hard to find the time to do that.
It's super hard. Or trying to keep the house in order, right? Like
Oh, man.
trying to get all the laundry done. Rachel and I, we be living out of the laundry baskets. I don't even know what the dressers are for.
Living
Like they look nice,
out of
but the laundry
baskets.
baskets are my go-to.
No, it's true. I went out of town this week, and I'm still living out of my suitcase right now.
Hey.
Like until it's dirty, I'm gonna just keep leaving it in there. Why put it away?
Did any of the laundry at the Barth house get done while you were gone? No.
No.
But we made do. We made it
That's
work.
true. No, but time is something that just slips away from us. It's so constantly, it's just eating up our time, right?
Yeah.
And so we're talking about the importance of time. And every week of the series, we've been reading 1 Corinthians 13, where it talks about time to us. And the very first thing that it says in verse 4, it says, love is patient. Patient means time. Patient means that you're investing some moments, that it's not just, well, let's go to one marriage thing and then we're all going to be perfect.
Right.
So let me just read, or baby, you want to read the verse?
Sure. 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8 says, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Yeah. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails.
Yeah.
That's right.
So good. No, it's true. And as we look at time today, we have to keep that verse in mind, understanding that we're going to be patient, we're going to be kind with our time. It's such an important verse as we talk through everything, this series that we're talking about. But man, all throughout life, when you meet someone, you ask them a common question, right?
Yeah.
What do you ask them? Hey, Tristan, how are you?
Oh man, I'm good, but man, I'm tired. Isn't that what people say? How are you? Oh, I'm tired. How are you? I'm busy.
Yeah.
That's what we hear. We hear all the time. Like anytime I say to someone, how are you? They tell me they're tired or they're busy. I'm like, well, that might not be good. If that's how we're just living our life. We actually, the four of us, we went to dinner with a friend not too long ago.
That's right.
And he said something to me. He said, he asked how I was. And I said, man, I'm busy. And he said, busy is the new stupid. And I was like, ugh, like it hit me. But he was like, man, if you're allowing your schedule to run you so aggressively that when someone says, how are you, your only response is busy, maybe you're not leading your life very well.
Well, and I think what was so important about that coming from him is that he's a wealthy business developer. He's someone who really his time is worth a lot of money.
And he spent a lot of years being busy.
Right.
But then recognized the value of balance and making sure that you weren't too busy.
He recognized that even with all the wealth, like his time was the most important and valuable asset that he had. And I think it hit all of us like,
He said, busy's the new stupid. And we all like,
Say what?
We're stupid.
hung our heads in shame.
We're like,
It's
we're stupid.
well, this is what we're doing.
It's true.
And so in our marriages, we have to be really aware of the time that we're investing because all relationships, they drift apart.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless they're drawn back together.
Yeah.
It's easy to drift apart. It's easy to, over time, get busy with work and busy with the kids and busy with their own stuff, and you just start to drift, and this is what happens, man.
Right.
This is how people are married 15, 20, 30 years. The kids grow up, they move out of the house, the couple no longer has anything in common, and they've drifted apart unless we take the time and draw the thing back
It's
together.
so true. We as human beings are inherently wired to be selfish.
Right.
It kind of sounds ugly
No,
and
it's
gross,
true.
but it's true.
Yeah.
And so if you're not being intentional to do that, you're going to be thinking more about yourself because of that rather than thinking about your relationship and your spouse.
Right. And planning your time based on your time and what I want to get done rather than what we could do together.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
true. Right. And time for Rachel and I has been the only answer.
Yeah.
The only answer is to take the time and to sit and really talk about what's going on. I've learned that the epitome of a relationship is acknowledgement.
Yeah.
The epitome of relationship is acknowledgement.
Right.
That if I can say that I love her, but if I don't give her any time, Am I really acknowledging her? Am I really
Right.
giving her anything of value?
Right.
And so carving out that, man, I carve out time for all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I carve out time for things that I prioritize.
Sure.
But we have to carve out some time to really help and grow our marriage.
It's good.
Yeah, and there's different types of time. I think it's important to really set that like parameter first, that there is times of quantity and there are times of quality.
Yeah.
Like when
And both are important.
They're both super important. Like going on vacation together is an important thing. Taking the time off work and spending a whole week together, like in one hotel room, like in a cabin somewhere together, like where you're spending it all together. Now, it may not all be quality. If you take your kids with you, it's definitely not quality, right? Like it's making memories, but it's still quantity of time together.
Somebody told me, they said going on vacation with your kids, it's just parenting in another city.
Yes.
It's not really vacation. Yeah.
No, it's true. But understanding that like quality time is like the eyeball to eyeball,
Right.
face to face, intentional quality time.
Right. It's less of running and gunning and making sure you got either man-to-man coverage or zone coverage with the kids around, and instead you're just able to relax, breathe, hang out naked if you want to with your spouse, and just chill out and have no agenda and just hang out.
Yeah.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah. No, okay. All right. And so
Yes. Okay.
here's what the Bible has to say about that one. Psalms 90, verse 12.
Wait, hold on, before you
It's
go
a marriage
on.
series, y'all.
One
It's a
of the
marriage series.
things when we were talking through this is I pictured quantity time is like making memories, going from schedule to schedule, like making it something that you value together, like checking off all the goals. Quality time is more, the way I pictured it is the bonding. Like thinking of it as you're bonding with each other, you're bonding with your spouse. You can do that with your children too, but we're talking about spouse here. And so quality time is important because life can take over and you forget to bond with each other.
Yeah.
And so quality time is super important, not just quantity.
No, it's
really,
true.
It's really good, baby. Psalms 90, verse 12 says this: teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. And so the Bible, all throughout it, cover to cover, talks about the value of time. It says that our life is like a mist. It's like a vapor. It's here one second, it's gone the next. And so we need to take advantage of the time, seeking a heart of wisdom. And we know that it's not easy.
Right.
That there's seasons that it's really easy to spend a lot of time, and there's seasons that it's like we're coworkers, roommates, trying to get the grind and the hustle done. We get that.
Well, I think there's seasons in the year, like there's times depending on your life, your busy schedule, like for you, like for us that work in a church, like Easter, Christmas, those are like really difficult times to make the time work. But then there's also times in our life, like for us, man, when y'all are in that season right now, like elementary school age, like that is a hard time and season to find the like date night, to find the like intentional, like, oh, we will spend this day at this time, right? Don't you feel like?
No, for sure, because now it's like we got to find a babysitter to go somewhere, and so date night is not only the $100 of date night, but the $75 of a babysitter.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's like every time I walk in the door, there's a new Lego project to put together, or there's just other people pulling our time apart.
Yeah, and we remember it. So while you guys have your kids at this stage of the game, you guys get them to bed early. But then when you get them to bed early, having some intentional time together alone without the kids, you're exhausted, and that's hard in and of itself because you guys have full days, and so it's a challenge.
Well, you mentioned roommates, and like I remember very specifically the season where it felt like, man, are we just roommates with each other right now? Are we just people who hang out together and share responsibility? And like, I feel like for a lot of people in the room, you might feel like you're in that season, like you're not alone. That's a totally normal thing. But we've got to be intentional. Like even if we're not intentional in that season, then it becomes really easy to not be intentional in every season. Because now our kids are older, but that means they stay up till 11:30, and like
beyond our bedtime.
And so we're not putting them to bed and then hanging out anymore because we're just like, we got to go to bed to get away from
Yeah,
them.
we
You
gotta
know,
tap
like,
out.
right?
Right.
It's a different season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changes.
Absolutely.
And then as you continue to age together, then the kids grow up and they
Right.
move out of the house, and then you're an empty nester. And then if you haven't been spending time, yeah, come on. We just had a Legends of More event
Yes.
last
Yeah.
night at our North Campus. And man, I saw a couple photos. Y'all were going crazy. Now, I hope you cleaned it up, because y'all be worse than the teenagers every once in a while.
Those that are cheering, those empty nesters that are cheering, have it figured out.
Yeah.
They've got empty nesting figured out, but there are others that see the kids move on, and then now that they're out of the house, they just have the two of them, and they're looking at each other like, oh, well, what now?
Right.
What do we do now? And you got to make sure you prevent that drifting apart. You got to pull that back together.
Absolutely.
Really good. And so the way that we help that, and we're really aware and intentional, is to focus on our time.
Yeah.
And so our very first ingredient of the day, we've went through a lot of instructions. The first ingredient is focused time.
Yeah.
That we would have focused time together, where like we make a schedule and we put it on the calendar, or we know that this is where we're going to do it. And man, for Rachel and I, we have to plan that time. Yeah. So we know, like when we do put the kids to bed, that after that they finally like quit getting up and going to pee, and I need a water and I want a snack.
Right.
And where's my stuffed animal? And like after all of that stuff is done and they're like actually asleep, then we have some planned focus time together.
Yeah, and sometimes our brains are fried after all of the tasks these kids think about, avoiding bedtime. And so we just want to turn on the TV and just like, I mean, you feel like your life and soul have been sucked out of you, right? Y'all know. They're laughing because they know the feeling. And so, but we have to be super intentional to still go,
Hi.
hi.
Right.
You okay over there?
And like there have been seasons for Rachel and I where that exact thing happens. The kids are finally in bed and we find ourselves on the couch watching the idiot box. That's what my dad used to call it. Watching the idiot box, just with a TV show on that means nothing. And we watch it until we're like, you know, doing the, I'm going to bed. But we haven't actually connected at all.
Right.
And so now we work hard to, before we turn the TV on, to just say, hey, how was your day? What's going on?
And sometimes it's highlights. Like, by then we're all tired. Just give me the highlights of your day, so I know. But also, like, if you can pick up things. Like if they're going through something, then you can later visit it. You know.
No, it's good. I think it's important to like understand that it's time where you're focused on each other and on your relationship.
Right.
There's a verse in 1 Thessalonians 5:11 that says, "Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up." Now, in the context of that verse, it's talking about the body of Christ. But if we're not intentional to remember that actually our first job is to build each other up, man, we're missing it. We're missing a whole piece, because he's the greatest gift that God's given to me.
Yeah, I am.
And I'm definitely the greatest gift that God's given to
Yes,
him,
you are.
right?
That's right.
But that's to encourage each other, to
Yeah.
be there for each other, to build each other up, and to help spur us on into the next season. And so we have to spend focused time.
Yeah.
Dreaming for the future, planning what we want to do, and catching up on the day-to-day. It's so important.
The way that looks like for us is that oftentimes when we do dream of the future and dream of how our lives are going to go together, that usually happens when we're away, when we're spending intentional time, focused time out of the house, away from the hustle and bustle and the schedule and all of that, usually on vacation, and when we have different scenery to look at, we're able to actually dream, and that, for me, that puts wind in my sails for the future.
Right.
And knowing that, I'm grinding now and I'm working hard now, and sometimes I might not be as focused all the time on our relationship right now, but it's because I know that I'm working towards a future, a bright future with my spouse.
Yeah.
About a year ago, I was praying and I felt like God told me that I needed to work on my friendship with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that was one of those like gut punches from God a little bit. And I was like, okay. And so we've been working on like not just being co-workers in our home, but also just being friends.
Yeah.
And so we've started spending that intentional time. And then after I taught abide, the idea that we need to abide with God, I went and bought some of those sand timers, you know, those like you flip them over like old school sand timers. They're 30 minutes, and I've got one on my desk at the church and one at the house. And so every day I'm intentional to go and flip it over and abide and spend 30 minutes at least in prayer with God.
Yeah.
And so there are some days that those 30 minutes feel long. And there's some days that I look up and I've been praying or working through something for an hour. And when I started doing that with, so I don't do a sand time with Rach. How impersonal would that be? But
You get 30 minutes.
yeah.
Right.
But there's something about that like mental check-in where you say, hey, I'm gonna have a talk time timer. That's what I would tell myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a talk time timer where instead of me going to the garage and working on a project or turning the television on or something, that we're gonna spend some time and say, you know, how was your day? When Rachel and I talk, I've learned that what I do is I hit her with my bullet points of accomplishments and meetings. So I tell her my bullet points, but she tells me how she felt during her day. And then what we do is we pull the other one out of the other. So then she says, well, how did you feel about that? And I say, well, what else did you do?
Right.
You know? And so it helps us know each other, like work on our friendship, have some memories together.
No, you said it, and like it can feel impersonal.
Right.
To schedule a time and to say it will be 30 minutes. But the truth is, it's a great act of love. Yeah. It's a great act of intentionality to say, we are going to make that time. I schedule my hair appointment, I schedule my chiropractor appointment, I schedule all these other appointments. I'm gonna schedule time that we can talk. And what you said is so good. I think of like, in fact, we wrote out some questions to help people that they're going to put on the screen, but like, how was your day? What was good about it? Like, how did you feel? One, Rach, you ask a lot.
Yeah, I always want to have fun in life, right?
Yes.
And so I always want to make sure he's having fun because we really do get to do this. Like, we've worked hard at all that we do, but every day is a gift of life from God. And so, like, we've got to enjoy it too. And so I always ask him, well, what fun did you have today? What was fun or what was funny? Because I want to make sure that he's enjoying it too, but I want us to laugh together and to enjoy those moments too.
And there will be times that she'll ask me and I'll go, that shows me I have something to work on.
Right.
Because if I'm going through my whole day grinding, that's God created us to enjoy our life, right? And so that's a great tool that helps me.
And one that Aaron asks me a lot because I'm real like internal when it comes to like dealing with my own feelings, and I'm working on processing them outwardly. And he'll just say like, "What was hard today?" And then he always says, "How can I help?" And like, man, we know you want to help. But what we found was there was a lot of times where he would be interrupting me, trying to solve it while I was telling him what was happening. And so instead now we save it for the end where he's like, okay, now you've told me all those things. I've listened to all those things. How can I help? What can I fix? How can I solve it? And I think it's important to figure out the right questions that work for you, like you said, to draw each other out.
It's really good. So we're going to give some homework at the end of the day. And if you can guess, it's going to be to spend some time together. And so the first thing that we've talked about is that focused time. So this week, we want you to carve out some focused time together. But number two is
fun time. Rachel just said it. Like, we've got to have fun. We've got to enjoy each other. The reason that we fell in love and got married in the first place is because we genuinely had fun together and wanted to spend all our time together. Right. Well, then the more we live life and the more it becomes a grind, we forget to have fun sometimes.
Yeah. In Nehemiah 8, it says, the joy of the Lord is your strength. Having joy and fun it strengthens me. It makes me want to live life with you, and we're going to have challenges, but being able to have fun with you makes those challenges easier because I know what brings me joy, and that is you.
Yeah.
So if you're like me, like a type A, 8 on the Enneagram, like I'm going to get the tasks done, you have to tell yourself it's time to have fun now. Right. And so for Rachel and I, she'll have fun anywhere, no matter what the situation.
Yeah, but I'm not good at working sometimes.
Right, that's why the iPad is not here, but that's okay. And so I have to tell myself that I have to check into having fun. Let's go and laugh. And so like make those memories.
So can we talk about it for just a second?
Do
Can we
it.
just like pause? Like Rachel will have fun anywhere. So she found out we were celebrating today for the Independence
yeah.
Day. And so can you just stand up and just...
She sewed this outfit. She made this.
I had a sombrero in the back, and I was like, put this thing on and give us a little mariachi dance. But she said it did not do her outfit justice, so maybe next time.
I
She
agree.
sewed
Thank
this
you.
yesterday because she heard we were singing some Spanish songs.
Hey, there's
today.
nothing like being represented, you know?
Okay.
That is true.
There's so much joy in it. So I went all out. I always wanted a little charro outfit, but those are expensive.
A what?
Charro?
Nope.
A mariachi?
Oh yeah, I know mariachi. I told her if any bulls run out, we know who's going to deal with them. Bull chargers.
I got it.
Rachel's the crafty mom. She's the crafty
She
one up on
is.
this stage,
That's
the
true.
only one that is crafty on this stage, to be honest.
I carry a
I
heavy
love
load.
everybody on the stage, but I can tell you, Rachel's a crafty one. She makes mums and she makes amazing Mexican outfits.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's awesome.
But you do it because
Second
you're
to none.
having fun.
She's
And
having
I
fun.
love
Brings her
that,
joy.
I love that you always bring fun into wherever we are. Like, and we have to sometimes in our marriage work on bringing fun into our relationship.
Right.
Because if we're not intentional, it can just be every single day we go to work to give us the money, to buy the food, to give us the strength, to go to work, to give us the money, to buy the food, give us the strength, to go to work. And pretty soon we look up and 10 years have gone by.
Right.
Yeah.
And we haven't actually laughed together. And like you said, junk's gonna happen in life, and we need the strength to not just endure, but to, thrive.
Man, that sounds boring to me. I mean, we talked about it, and we say that oftentimes in the house to each other, especially because that is no way to live.
No, I don't want to live that way.
No,
I want to have fun.
Yes, we in America want to strive to succeed and do the best we possibly can and pull ourselves up by the bootstraps and make sure that we're providing for ourselves better than we were provided for and all those things. But you've got to have fun in the process, because if you don't, you ain't gonna have no joy in your house.
And so I think that we've got to make some intentional memories.
Right.
And there's a lot of ways that in our marriage that Rachel and I have worked to make some intentional memories. Let's just go to a restaurant we've never been to.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I've got my rotation of favorite, dozen or so restaurants that I just know if I'm in this part of the city, here's where we're gonna go. But sometimes go on an adventure. Like guys, we live in the Metroplex.
Right.
Quit going to Applebee's. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of
Please,
great,
Lord.
amazing. Sorry, Applebee's, but like
We're not getting
there's a lot of
promoted by
great things.
Applebee's.
Like we
I
will
watched
go.
that show last night that we were, what is
Yeah,
it?
like if you see a food show and you're like, let's go there. It's an hour away, but that's okay. It's a memory. It's a moment.
No, I think it's important that it doesn't have to cost a whole lot of money.
Oh, that's good too.
Like Aaron and I just went on a big vacation trip, the two of us, only just a couple years ago since our honeymoon. Because life and things, we couldn't afford it, it didn't work out in our schedules, all the pieces. But that didn't mean we didn't still find time to get away together.
Yeah.
Maybe spend a night or 2 nights in Fort Worth or Dallas because we live, in a giant metroplex. Maybe in certain seasons, there were times we were broke. We would go to the water gardens in Fort Worth because it's free and just walk around and that felt like we were in a beautiful place together.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be these perfect Instagrammable posts that we all feel like it has to be.
But also, don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel. If you see something online or something
That's
a friend
true.
was posting about, it don't have to be original to you. Steal that junk.
Yeah, copy
Steal
it. Do it.
If you see something that might bring you joy, make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
if
it.
you see somebody having fun, just copy what they're doing and go and do it. I remember, how many years ago did we go to the boat show?
It was a long time ago.
Neither of us had no money. We didn't have nothing to do.
bush.
No.
But we found out that there was a free boat show
Yeah.
in Fort Worth. I don't have a boat. I've never owned a boat.
Yeah.
Don't
Right.
ask any of us to run your boat. We don't know how to.
We don't know.
And so we just went to a boat show and pretended like we were going to buy a boat. Me and Aaron were
Walk
talking to
around.
yacht guys like we're going to buy a yacht.
I got a few phone call follow-ups, but I said
I'm
no
just like,
thanks.
what
Not
can
my
you do-
direction.
What can you do to have fun? Rachel and I,
Right.
we took our kids to a reptile expo. And I told the kids, we're not buying no lizards. We're not buying a snake. We're not buying a tarantula, nothing. But we took them in there and it was a memory.
Yeah.
Right.
It was $5. It was a memory.
We went last year. We went to a knife show.
Oh,
you
yeah.
and Titus and me and Easton, we went to a knife show, walked
Yeah.
around, saw some crazy looking knives,
Yeah.
and ended up walking out with a few, but it was a fun time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just have some fun.
yeah.
I spent some money there, but
But
yeah,
you
yeah.
have to
Yeah, he did.
have fun, date each other again, don't stop, right?
Yeah,
That's
a
right.
Important
Intentional
piece.
time. So good.
Okay, fun time. But then there's also the rest moments that we can have some fun just resting. It's
Yeah.
not always go out to eat, go to get
Right.
on an airplane, go somewhere. Sometimes you can just chill and put on a show and put your arm around your wife
Yes.
and rest.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can have fun with friends.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we just told all of these examples,
Silly,
not
yeah.
even in the notes,
Yeah, yeah.
of times that we've hung out. One of the best things you can do for your marriage is find another couple to have some fun with.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is to have somebody who help pull it out of you, because it can be easy in a marriage to only talk about serious stuff, especially if you're like a type A person. But when you go out with somebody else, it can help lighten that thing a little bit, and you start getting into conversations that you would never get in just the two of you.
And while we're saying it, it's super important. It's the right somebody else's. It's
Oh.
the right couples. It's couples whose lives you want to emulate. It's people whose advice you would want to take because
Right.
you would want your life to look like theirs. It's not couples who you know they fight all the time, and so it makes you feel better to hang out with them because they're fighting, and so at least we're not fighting. Not that. That's not going to build you up. That's going to tear you down.
Or the couples
Yeah.
that want to feel like they can enhance their good time by going to the bars or going to the club or going and,
Yeah,
and
that's
having
never a
drinks.
good idea.
All these things
Right.
that might seem to be fun, but doesn't get to where you need to be.
Right.
Just doesn't get
And
there.
you may wonder, well, how do I find these people? Well, we have this great thing we do every Sunday here at Moore Church.
Yeah, that's right.
We do set up and tear down. Then we have these wonderful opportunities called life groups.
Yeah.
Enrique talked about it at the
And
beginning of the
they're
service.
starting
Yes.
This week.
this week.
They're
And
starting.
so if you want to find friendships that are lasting and find friendships, I mean, there's so many families in here that have found their people that it's amazing to see how they're growing together. The Chins and the Gennaros just bought property together.
What?
Like,
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's
I
I think that
amazing.
stemmed from a life group that they were living in. That
Right.
they were living together,
Right.
life together.
Yeah, I
right?
love it.
Something
So
like that.
good. Yeah.
I don't know.
You got it. You got it.
They might all be living in the same house eventually. I don't know what's going to happen there, but
they got
amazing.
Aaron
sister
brings fun in
wiving.
everywhere we go.
fun, man. They're
So
going to
yeah,
have some fun.
have some focus time, then have some fun time
Right.
together. Start dating again. Don't stop dating.
Yeah.
I used to take my wife on dates and have a plan. We'd go to this restaurant and we're going here for dessert and we're getting a movie and I'd have her a gift and I'd write her
Yeah,
a
you're
card.
making me
And I
think
used to
you're right.
date the junk out of this chick.
Oh, man.
And then we got married and knocked her up and had
That's
a
what you
couple
guys
kids.
do.
And then now I'm like, where's the laundry? You know, like
Right.
I'm being honest. Like, you
No,
know,
it's
like
so
we can
true.
complain about some things that we aren't really happy about.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the laundry would be better handled if I would also remember to
Yeah.
love and date and encourage
Right.
and
Yeah.
speak life.
Y'all-
And
Y'all
you know,
trick us. That's what happens. Y'all trick us because
I don't
I
remember
can
tricking you at
remember
all.
some of these incredible, like, intentional, like, super planned out dates. There was one time he took me to the Rose Garden in the middle of February.
Your boy had game up here now.
There ain't no roses
He still
growing
does.
in Tulsa, Oklahoma in February, but there was these random bouquets of roses throughout the Rose Garden with these handwritten cards, and at first I was like, what is this? We can't take those. And then I looked, I'm like, that's your handwriting. That's written to me. Oh my
Yeah.
word, he's so romantic.
Man,
right?
Yes. See?
he had done that for like 5 other chicks before Whitney,
Hey,
though.
hey, hey.
He had worked it out.
Nope. No, I promise I didn't. But
But then you get married.
I got a couple of those from back in the
But
day.
then you get married and we're like, hello, you want to take me to Chewy's? Like we have to be intentional.
so you have to be intentional.
To
So while
plan
you
the
were
time.
gone this last week and out of town, what'd your boy do when you got home?
You did buy me
Not the-
flowers before
Hey,
every
you hear
time
that? Someone said not the laundry.
Well, yeah, that's true.
She's right. She's
You're
right, but I
right.
did have some eye candy up on the counter when you got home.
did
I had
buy
them
me some
flowers.
flowers.
Yeah.
But my girl, she got my back. So that's good. Okay, next.
She
move
does.
on,
All right, we
move
gotta
on.
we
move
gotta
on,
push
move on.
this train
We gotta
along.
move on.
Okay.
Ratchet this thing back
Guys.
on track.
I want you to be impressed at that all these things start with F. So we have focus time, we have fun time, and then ready, we have to have faith time. Come on,
Yes. True.
somebody. That in your relationship, we have to have intentional
Absolutely.
faith time where we're
right.
growing in our relationship with God. And so Rach and I think that we've always been good at saying like, what is God speaking to you?
Yeah.
Because sometimes God's speaking something to her that I desperately need, or vice versa. But if we don't ever talk about it, if we don't spend the time, then we can't hear about it.
No, it's so great.
So what is God speaking to you? Or we'll be intentional to pray together.
Yeah.
Now, I know that that brings up a lot of thoughts and feelings and emotions, so let's talk about it. Just because I say to pray with your spouse doesn't mean that it has to be like turn the lights down and bring up the worship music and you, oh God, we beseech thee on your mighty throne of the kingdom. Listen, man, God just wants to hear you talk.
Yeah.
And like, you don't have to try to have a Pastor Tim level prayer, you know what I mean? To just talk, to pray with your wife or to pray with your husband.
God wants to hear you talk, but so does your wife,
Yeah.
men in the room.
Yeah.
So does your wife.
Yeah.
They want to hear you pray over them. They want to hear it in their ears.
Yeah.
So men in the room, if you're not doing it, why are you not doing it? I've been told by men, I'm intimidated. I'm worried that what I say is not going to sound right or holy or strong or powerful. But the fact is, it don't matter. It don't matter to God, and it doesn't matter with your spouse. All they want to know, all they want to hear is you pray over them. Because you know why? It brings them comfort. It brings them comfort, and it brings glory to God. And so if you're not doing it, put it in your schedule. Put it in practice and make sure you do that.
I mean, just like at night, even when you're in bed, before you go to sleep, just grab her hand and say, God, thank you for today.
Right.
Let us sleep good. Keep our kids safe. We pray for our kids' spouses. Mm-hmm. They're little kids, but they have a husband and wife out there somewhere. So we pray for them. We pray for our endeavors. We pray, God, let us have good dreams. Guard our home,
Yeah.
And so, like Aaron said, it's so good, man. God is big enough to get through some ums and stutters and restarts. God doesn't care, and neither does your spouse. Just taking some time to pray for each other. And like for me, there'll be moments that I'm real stressed or heavy or whatever, and I'll ask Rach, hey baby, will you pray for me?
Yeah.
And sometimes she'll give me the God bless him, and then sometimes she'll be like, Shundai,
Sticking that oil.
Like in an
getting
outfit
oil on
like
your
this,
head.
it's like straight up Shundai.
So good.
You look like a little bit like Benny Hinn, huh?
Yeah, you got some Benny Hinn. Oh man, that's a mental rabbit trail. So, but we have to pray for each other.
She's proud of that joke. That's a good one, Rach.
Pray for us all. We're losing it up here.
I'll say this.
You go.
Your prayers don't have to be perfect.
Right.
Told you.
Jesus walked on this earth. He already did perfection.
Yeah.
And if you can just remember to just be you,
Yeah.
imperfect you,
That's right.
God will cover what's not perfect about you.
100%.
And so, just pray over your family. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you need to make a bullet point every time of what you're going to cover in your prayer, do that.
Yeah.
So you remember, but don't hesitate to start if you haven't, because don't try to work for perfection. You're never going to accomplish it. Just be you.
Yeah.
Just be you and pray.
Sometimes, Rach, the man is the spiritual head of the home. That's what the Bible says, and that's true. But that doesn't mean that the man should only act in his own volition. So there's a lot of times that Rachel will say to me, hey, I feel like you need to pray for our home. Hey, you need to be praying over our kids. Hey, so she's giving me direction. Now I'm the spiritual authority of the home, but that she's still helping guide and direct and speak life into what I'm doing. And so let's help each other. So ladies, don't just wait. Aaron already capped the guys, so I'm just gonna say it now. Ladies, don't wait for your husband to do it, because maybe he's nervous.
Yeah.
Say to him, hey, pray for us.
Yeah.
And if he has a couple ums and stutters or I don't want to, that's okay. People don't like praying out loud, and I get it. I lead our staff meeting every week with our staff. They're all a bunch of paid pastors. And at the end, we say, okay, somebody pray. And they all look like Titus at dinner. All of them. I'm like, God, I get it. It's hard to want to pray out loud.
Yeah, but we're...
The only person judging you is yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard someone pray a prayer and thought, wow, that was horrible? No, you've never thought that. You've never thought that.
No, that's good.
But we think that that's what
Right.
other people are going to think about us, so we don't pray.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
but we do that in staff to be intentional, to get them to pray out loud together. So do it yourselves in your own home to be intentional. Okay, let's move on to.
Oh man, it's already 10:30.
Yeah, we gotta go.
we gotta go.
So the last piece that we have to pay attention to. Last week we talked about pieces that can ruin the recipe. Well, there's time thieves that can ruin the recipe of your time and love of our relationships. And one is like these phones that we have.
The most obvious one is the phone.
How many times do you go to a restaurant and you see a couple out at dinner together, but they're just both on their phone? Like, there's a new restaurant in Fort Worth, and you have to check your phone in when you go in. They don't give it to you until you pay the bill because they want you to be intentional, to talk to each other. Put your phone away.
The screens can steal your whole relationship.
We hear you out there. You're all murmuring. I hear it. And
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. I know it because it's so stinking true.
And-
You could spend all the time on the phone.
Rachel and I will sit on the couch with the television on, and I'll have my laptop and my phone in my hand. That means I'm not paying attention to her at all.
Right.
I'm watching a movie, I'm searching Facebook Marketplace, and I'm seeing what's happening over here. I'm not engaging anywhere.
And do
Right.
you know that the new phone that they're coming up with, it doesn't, I read this morning, it's not gonna shut down and sleep. It's gonna stay awake and alert. And it says on the article I read this morning, so that users could be more drawn to it.
Right.
The same people that
Watch out.
invent these apps are the same people that made the slot machines in Vegas.
Yeah, it's true.
Literally, they hired the same people to build Instagram that build all these.
Yeah.
We have to just be aware of what we're wasting our time with.
Right.
It's true, man.
So
TV, social media.
No, it's true.
I think another time waster, time thief, is becoming inebriated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times that you might go out on a date night, but you get 3 drinks in and you're no longer on a date night.
Right.
You're on a drunk night. You're just you're not having any meaningful conversations with
Right.
each other, bunch of shots in.
Yeah.
And so like those things can be time thieves.
Non-inclusive activities, like maybe you have a hobby, that's cool, that's good. You're allowed to have me time, you're allowed to have a hobby for yourself, but if you're more focused on that than you are the time with your spouse, man,
Right.
that can steal time from each other because
Right.
you're always doing those things. Man, if you're working nonstop, I've been there, I've done that, like 100 times I've done that, where we're working nonstop and then we recognize, oh wait, I didn't even see you today. I didn't even say hello to you today.
Right.
Yeah.
There's times in seasons, it's understandable, but there's times where work could just be dominating your time.
Yeah.
I know that for me, we have to communicate that. So I've got a certain time of year that I have to really ramp up and make sure and focus on what's going on at the airport because there's this huge inspection, multiple days and nights that an FAA examiner comes out and looks over all aspects of the airport. She knows that that's going to be a time dominator for me. And so we communicate that, but guess what happens? After that's done and over with, we make sure that we carve out and spend some intentional time. You have to do it.
Yeah.
Another one is undealt issues in your marriage. Like if you're walking around not dealing with offense or not dealing with things that have been happening in your marriage, and you are just existing in the room, not talking or ignoring each other or giving each other a cold shoulder, that is a time thief. It's a distraction. Sit down and deal with it. Right? Aside from that, that's a huge time thief. That's not going to allow you to connect. And sometimes for days, like depending on how stubborn you are, like that's a time thief. Stop it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, or even longer than days. Sometimes you have long-lasting disputes that last a whole season or a whole year. And like it sucks the time from you because if you don't deal with that junk, like we had it up in focus time and we didn't mention it. Like go to counseling, go to counseling, go to counseling. Like get it dealt with. Otherwise, it's going to be a time thief.
Yeah, go to counseling. I'm in consistent counseling because I have to understand me so I can fix me. And if I can fix me, it will benefit us.
Yeah. And I'm in counseling because I'm married to him. No, I'm just kidding.
It's true. It's true.
No, it's the same thing. I have to understand and navigate my emotions.
Yeah.
And I have to learn how to rein those in and what's reality and what's hurt and what's my past and all the things that trigger that.
Yeah.
We're complicated things.
So we've went a little long, and I had some stuff I wanted to say here at the end. So I'm just going to say it real quick.
You got time. Yeah, you're good. You got time.
You know, I can really easily lean way too hard into what I'm working on sometimes and not take a break and not take a rest. And so I talked about that a bunch at SummerSlam, if you guys were there, about how we have to learn to abide. And so something God's been speaking to me is the power of rest, the power of taking some time and spending some time with God. And over the summer, as I was praying a bunch, God really spoke to me, and I got convicted, and he said, Trustin, you're not honoring the Sabbath. And so the Sabbath is where we would take a day of the week and we would rest. Now that doesn't mean that you just stay in bed or only lay on the couch, but it means that you're taking some intentional time to just kind of decompress. And I had always prided myself on like grind and work and hustle and push, but that God was like, hey, you're not honoring me because you're trusting your own efforts more than you're obeying what I'm telling you to do. God said, if you'll learn how to rest, I'm going to bless your 6 days more than you could accomplish in your 7 days.
Good, bro. It's good.
And so I've been really intentional to start taking at least a day off. We give our staff Fridays off, but weeks that I'm preaching a standard message, I'm still working on Friday. I'm still prepping that message. And so we're just working the schedule throughout the week that I'm going to take some time so that I can decompress. Well, as I'm praying through all that and I'm repenting before God, we start thinking about our More Church birthday party. We're coming up on our 12-year anniversary as a church.
Woo-woo!
But it's not just our 12-year, it's our 7-year of me being lead pastor, 7 years. And so I'm praying through that and I'm thinking like, okay, 7-year, what are we gonna do? We're gonna do a blowout party at the Pig 2. We're gonna do October 9th. We launched on 10/10/10, October 10th, 2010. And so this year on the 9th will be a Sunday, October 9th. And so I'm in my brain brainstorming what are the great fun things that we could do to have a blowout service on our 12th birthday. And I felt like God said, you need to rest. I was like, okay, what does that mean? That's against everything in my entire makeup of a human being. Like, what do you mean that I need to rest? And he took me to Exodus, which I don't have time to teach the whole thing. But God not only told the people to have a day of rest, but he told them, I'll read the one verse, Exodus 23, verse 10. It should be the second one in the notes, guys. It says, God says, plant and harvest your crops for 6 years. But let the land be renewed and lie uncultivated during the 7th year. Let the land lie uncultivated for the 7th year. And so as I was praying, I feel like God told me to do something that's a faith step that's different than what I would normally want to do. And instead of having a big blowout, giant birthday party service on October 9th, we're going to cancel church completely on that Sunday. We're going to have a day of rest. We're going to give all of our kids' team a day of rest. We're going to give all of our volunteers a day of rest. We're going to give the staff a day of rest. And really, the reason that we're going to do it is because sometimes it can be easy to think that if we just work harder, it's going to be more successful.
Right, it's good.
But you know what rest really is worship. Is what God's speaking to me, that when I learn to rest, I'm trusting him enough to do what only he can do in the day that I'll put the hammer down.
Right.
And so on that day, we're going to do something very non-traditional. And during October, a growth phase. Like our church always grows October, September, right? God said, I want you to trust me enough to keep the lights off and to rest. And so there's the spiritual reason, but also the announcement that on October 9th, we're just going to take some time to rest.
That's right. That day, like you mentioned, we won't be having live service. And we were going to say it like that. We aren't having live service. We aren't having any service. Like for us, the temptation has been, well, then we'll just do an online thing and we'll post it and then they can watch it at home. Right. But that's not what we're going to do. We're going to take the whole day to rest. And so what we want you to do is take time to rest on that day, to have either some focus time, some fun time, some faith time with you, your spouse, your family, maybe even your friends, and that you'd invite people over, that you'd hang out and celebrate what God has done in your life over the last 12 years, over the last 7 years, however long you've been a part of More Church, and that you would take that time to rest as glory to God, right, as a step of obedience and an offering to say, hey, God, we worship you. I know we all got junk. We all got things we're praying for and we're asking and believing God for, but our heart in this would be not that we're just taking a day off because we don't want to do it. No, that we're being obedient to say, hey, God, we're going to trust you with everything. and knowing that you're going to produce more than we ever could on our own.
Right. So if we truly believe,
Yeah.
yes, so good.
Right.
So good. But if we truly believe that he could do more if we're resting, he can do more
Right.
if we're doing nothing and resting, then this is going to be proof of that.
Absolutely.
And we believe that he will.
And so
Absolutely.
it freaks me out. It freaks me out a little bit. Even as I'm making the announcement, I'm like, oh man, this is not a good idea. What are you doing? But let's just trust.
That's
we're
right.
just going to trust God and
Watch
believe
him.
that he can do more than what we can imagine.
Absolutely.
He will.
Absolutely. And so we want to give you homework this week to help you practice for October 9th. And so this week with your spouse, if you're married, if not, if you're single, connect with some of your friends. This will be good practice for when you are married someday. But plan some time to be focused, some time to have fun, and then some time of faith. Like, it's already easy because it's a life group week, so go to a life group. Or plan a time to be at one of the services or one of the events that are happening. Plan some focus time where you're really connecting and talking to each other, and then plan some time to just have fun and laugh.
Right.
I think it'll be so good and so important.
We got one more thing.
Oh, yeah, one more thing that before we go, but we got to pray, and then we can do the fun thing.
Oh, okay.
So let's pray.
We should do that.
You want to
Yeah,
close?
and I think that whatever you do with all the homework, post about it. Take a picture if you're out on a
that's a
date
good
night or
idea.
something. Post about it. Let some people know, because maybe you'll have an idea, like they said, the Fort Worth Water Gardens. You'll have an idea that will spur somebody else on to go and spend some time together in their message.
Well, that we would copy each other. I think that's the heart of this house, is that we're not competing ever, but that instead we're going, oh, I love what you're doing. I'm going to do it too.